let's start off and just the others can join us as and when they turn up from throughout the world. One of the problems we face is that having people come in from Singapore, UK, New Zealand, Canada, all the time zones get a bit screwy. So it's not unusual for people to miss the entire webinar by a good hour, one way or the other. Thanks for coming. Good to see you guys. What I'd like to do is spend just a couple of minutes talking about Enistic and what we do here, and then pass over to Ted, who will concentrate specifically on the energyBug. So first off, we're a small company based just outside of Oxford in the UK. We've got offices not just in Oxford, but also in Canada, New Zealand, South Africa, Uganda, Cyprus and Ireland. So got a bit of a reach throughout the world, but nothing in Singapore. And we manufacture smart metering hardware and software. That's our sort of stocking trade. We're moving now into the controls market, and you'll see all the new products that we're bringing out tend to be in the controls come metering world. So what we're doing is building up to be a complete building energy management system, which is where I see the long-term future of this company. My name's Daryl. I'm the founder here. So I set this business up in 2009. And Ted's joining us today as one of our energy consultants. We just deal with commercial. So I don't know what your customers are like, sort of what sort of spread they have, but we just deal with commercial customers, be it large customers like the Rolls-Royce, the British government, hospitals, schools, colleges, or smaller customers. So we deal with a lot of, for example, smaller schools or small factories and stuff like that. We tend not to go too small, so if you've got an energy spend of less than £20,000-30,000, you tend typically not really for us. Up until really probably about 4 months ago. So to plug the gap, to sort of move ourselves down underneath this threshold, this £20,000-30,000 pound mark, we brought out an entry-level product. Still uses the same software that the larger products do, the more advanced metering range, but is aimed at a much more competitive price tag. And we're aiming this at the SME business market. It's not really for domestic use. You could use it domestically if you wanted to, but the main market for us is small shops, lawyers' offices, estate agents, small restaurants, that sort of thing. So anywhere where they want to take an interest in their energy use, but they haven't really got the budget to bring in one of the bigger systems. So over to Ted now, if that's okay. And Ted will take you through it. So moving through the slides, it's got about 9 or 10 slides, something like that. Yeah, good. There you go.
Good morning. As Daryl mentioned, my name is Ted. I am the energy consultant here at Enistic, and today I'll be talking to you about the Enistic energyBug. As Daryl mentioned, this is our entry-level product, aimed specifically at lower spending customers. Typically anything from £5,000 up to £25,000 a year would be really suitable for this type of product. Let me begin by just telling you a little bit about the bug itself. Similar to our other controllers like the Eco Monitor or our Seckle, the energyBug in its essence is a controller, i.e. it sends data across the internet back to our cloud-based servers. Rather than the other systems which use either LAN or GPRS, the energyBug actually communicates via Wi-Fi. It can do this, it's fairly easy to configure, and once it does that, it will send a data packet once every minute, taking readings from either the current clamps or the LPDs. It is capable of either single or three-phase electricity monitoring, and that's either through the form of CT clamps or a light pulse detector. So i.e. if you have a pulsed meter, so something like water or gas or some electricity meters, you'd be able to use that. Alternatively, we can just use the current clamps. In the main kit that you'd get with the bug, you would actually receive one energyBug, so the controller unit, a single CT clamp that's 60 amps, a power supply to power the unit, and a set of instructions on how to set up and configure the bug. There are additional components available. So for instance, should you want to monitor a 3-phase supply, we can supply you with a 3-phase energyBug that simply comes with 3 current clamps. Alternatively, we can also supply you with a light pulse detector should you wish to monitor a pulsed output meter. The bug itself is fairly simple. There aren't many components to install, it's mostly plug and play. Once you've plugged in the power supply, a number of different lights will come on. In particular, the one on the far left, which actually tells you whether there's energy going to the bug, i.e. is it on. Then we've got the Wi-Fi signal LED, which is telling you, am I connected to the internet? And the one on the far right, which is telling you, am I sending a data packet or not? As I mentioned before, it's fairly simple to configure. Simply plug in and power up the bug, plug in the current clamp or the LPD, attach it to your meter, as per the picture here, and away you go. There's a small amount of software configuration required, which is all explained in the instructions, and you can start taking live readings almost immediately. So the pricing for the energyBug works is fairly straightforward. A single phase energyBug is £79.99. A 3-phase energyBug, so with 3 CT clamps, that is £99.99. And a light pulse detector to monitor a pulsed output meter is £22.34. Please do note though that all the regular Enistic authorised reseller and distributor discounts will apply to these prices. Now the bug itself is fairly low cost, as is the software package that comes with it. There is an option for a free account. The free account fundamentally gives you a live view of your energy consumption, as well as a short amount of data retention. However, I would strongly recommend the simple package, which comes in at £4.99 a month. And that will monitor up to your 3-phase and an LPD at the same time, as well as giving you access to some of the analytics and the reporting engines in Energy Manager Online. The core concept behind the bug is to give access to those customers to the types of reporting software that previously was unaffordable because they required a very large hardware solution. So let's have a quick look at some of the reports that we can actually generate within Energy Manager Online. Okay, so what we're looking at here is the current live view. Now to explain the situation, I have an energyBug installed in my home, and what we're looking at here is the live feed from my house. You may notice that it is currently showing as not consuming any energy. That is simply because I'm not there. What we can see here though on the graph is we can see both yesterday and today's consumption, as well as what we've got set as our current energy targets. So we can actually see where I got up this morning and where me and both my partner were using stuff within the house, as well as apart from the night before. Now, the joy of Energy Manager Online is there's a huge amount of reports and options that you're able to actually have a look at and do useful comparisons to see where you can save some energy. So if we start, for instance, on the day of the week comparisons, this here is a graph displaying all of the different readings from different days of the week taken from my energyBug. Now what's clearly obvious is my distribution curve pattern is more evenings than days, simply because it's a domestic property. Typically with the business you would see more of a curve here and then a dip off towards the evening. But what's useful here is we're able to compare behaviours and usage amounts across days to see where it is we've used more, and we can try and attribute behaviours to those to help us try and save energy. Secondly, we can actually do a weekly comparison. So in this case, I've chosen this week and the previous week. And as we can see, we can just lay them across the top of each other and see where the differences are. You can start to identify trends and see where energy is being used where it doesn't need to be, or what's actually going on a site. So in my domestic site setting, it's not particularly valuable in this instance. However, across the business, you're able to see the differences between when lighting comes on in the morning and goes off, see if anything was left on one evening, etc., etc. And the particularly powerful element of the Energy Manager Online system is the ability to generate customizable reports. Now this is a report that I threw together this morning, very simply, has a contents page, a voluntary performance certificate showing my current energy usage and where I sit. It also then shows the day-by-day comparison and the data table for that, as well as just an overall feed of what my energy consumption is doing, where it peaks and where it troughs. Now, the really powerful element here is you're able to export this into either Word or PDF, so that this can either be delivered to yourself, to a client, or simply printed off for future reference and further analysis. So that's a very basic overview of Energy Manager Online. Let's go back to the main uses of the energyBug and the main applications we see for it. So in particular, the first instance, we believe a main incoming supply is its primary goal. We can actually attach that to either single or three-phase and take very useful measurements and readings and see what an actual property is doing. We can also, if we're looking at an incoming supply, we can also move it and look at a single circuit. I.e., if I want to identify how much my lighting is costing me over a week, I could simply attach the energyBug CT clamp to a single circuit of lighting and begin monitoring that over a long period. And that will give me a very, very accurate feed for what is going on in terms of my energy consumption for that particular circuit. Also, as I mentioned before, we're able to monitor a pulse meter using a light pulse detector. This obviously has a range of applications for water and gas, but also electricity as well. But again, as I've stressed before, all of these things, really, the key point to make is it gives you that access to the analytical software, which means you're not just looking at a live view like many of the other products out there on the market. We're able to actually compare week on week what's going on energy and being able to usefully report and analyze on that data. Some of the potential markets we believe the bug would be suitable for are the SME market in particular, so small businesses, small shops, offices, restaurants, that sort of thing. We could also use the energyBug to run a project across a multi-site premises. So for instance, a small housing association or a large housing association, chain of restaurants, that sort of thing. We would be able to put an energyBug on each of the individual incoming meters and compare them. So that way we can look at an entire portfolio's consumption and see what's doing well, what's doing badly, and try and take behaviours from the better performing sites and apply them to the worst performing sites. We can also use the energyBug for those individual meters or individual circuit investigations that don't necessarily justify a £1,000 spend, for instance. Okay, does anybody have any questions about the energyBug?